Please donate to support this channel. Thanks so much for your support. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, subscribe to stay in the loop, and don't forget to check out my affiliate links in the description below. The wage gap, unraveling the numbers behind the noise. The wage gap, women earning 82 cents for every dollar a man makes, is a statistic that's been tossed around like apolitical football for years. It's catchy, it's quotable, and it's plastered on everything from protest signs to corporate diversity reports. But like any good soundbite, it's only part of the story. That 82-cent figure comes from raw, unadjusted Census Bureau data comparing median earnings for all full-time workers. $52,000 for men and $42,000 for women in 2024, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS. On its face, it's a jaw-dropper. A 18% pay gap? Outrageous. But hold your pitchforks, peel back the layers, and the gap shrinks to 93.97 cents on the dollar when you account for factors like job type, hours worked, experience, and industry. Nobel-winning economist Claudia Goldin crunched the numbers and found just 3 to 7 cents of that gap remains unexplained, often tied to differences in negotiation habits. So, is the wage gap a myth, a misdirection, or something more nuanced? Let's dig into the data, the choices, and the systems shaping this divide. Breaking down the raw numbers. The 82-cent statistic is real but raw, drawn from BLS data that doesn't adjust for variables. It's like comparing the average height of basketball players to gymnasts without noting their sports. Men, on average, earn $52,000 annually, while women earn $42,000. That's a $10,000 gap, and it's tempting to cry foul. But start tweaking for context, and the picture shifts. Men work longer hours, 41 per week compared to women's 36 per BLS. That 5-hour difference adds up, especially in salaried roles where overtime or availability can inflate paychecks. Men also dominate high-risk, high-reward fields like oil drilling, construction, or truck driving, where fatality rates hover around 20-30 per 100,000 workers, BLS occupational safety data. These jobs pay premiums, sometimes double, because they're dangerous, not because they're inherently male. Women, meanwhile, make up 76% of teachers, 88% of nurses, and 70% of administrative workers, essential roles, but ones with tighter budgets and less hero pay. The result? A gap that's more about career paths than outright discrimination. Adjusting for these factors, same role, same experience, same hours, the gap narrows to 93.97 cents per studies like Goldin's. That remaining sliver? It's real, but it's not always sinister. Goldin's research points to negotiation as a key culprit. Men request raises 13 times more often than women and secure them 55% of the time, compared to women's 30%. Confidence, cultural norms, or both? Likely a mix. Women are less likely to negotiate starting salaries, 60% of men versus 48% of women, per a 2023 Glassdoor survey, and when they do, they often face pushback or lower offers. It's not universal, but it's measurable. The role of choice and trade-offs, career choices drive much of the gap, and they're shaped by more than just workplace policies. Surveys, like one from Pew Research in 2022, show 62% of mothers prioritize job flexibility for childcare, compared to 42% of fathers. This isn't just anecdotal. Women are more likely to choose part-time, remote, or flexible roles to balance family responsibilities. These jobs often pay less, not because of bias, but because they're structured for convenience over cash. Cornell University studies back this up. Women, on average, value work-life balance over higher pay more than men do. For example, 70% of women in a 2021 survey said they'd trade a 10% pay cut for more flexible hours, compared to 45% of men. Parenthood amplifies this. Motherhood cuts women's wages by about 5% per child, per a 2020 American Economic Review study, while fatherhood boosts men's by 6%. Why? Post-baby, women often reduce hours or shift to less demanding roles. Men tend to double down, chasing promotions or overtime. It's not oppression, it's trade-offs, often driven by societal expectations and personal priorities. Remote work, though, is shaking things up. A 2023 study from the University of Chicago found that in industries with widespread remote options, the wage gap shrank by 20%. Flexibility lets women stay in higher-paying roles without sacrificing family time, proving that structural changes can move the needle. The complication of race adds another layer to the conversation. While the overall adjusted gap for women is 93 to 97 cents, it's bleaker for women of color. Black women earn 64 cents and Latinas 57 cents for every white male dollar, even after adjusting for job type and experience. BLS 2024. Education helps. Black and Latina women are earning degrees at record rates, but it's not enough. They're often stuck in mid-level roles, hitting what researchers call the glass ceiling or sticky floor. Bias plays a role here. A 2022 Harvard study found that black women were 30% less likely to be promoted than white women with similar qualifications. But occupational segregation matters too. Black and Latina women are overrepresented in lower-paying sectors like caregiving and retail, which employ 25% and 18% of these groups respectively, compared to 12% of white women. Education gaps persist as well. While women overall earn 58% of bachelor's degrees, National Center for Education Statistics, 2023, Black and Latina women lag in STEM fields, where median earnings are 20% higher than in non-STEM roles. Encouraging more women of color into tech or engineering, where the gap is already 10% smaller, could help close this divide, but it's a long game. Systemic fixes that work. So what actually narrows the gap? Pay transparency is a big one. New York's 2022 salary disclosure laws, which require employers to post salary ranges, boosted women's job offers by 7%, per a Columbia University study. When women know the range, they negotiate harder and win more often. Mentorship programs also move the needle. A 2021 McKinsey report found that women with senior-level mentors climbed corporate ladders 40% faster than those without. Paid family leave is another game changer. Sweden, with its universal 480-day parental leave policy, boasts a near-zero wage gap. In contrast, only 30% of U.S. workers have access to paid leave, spread across a patchwork of 19 state laws, Department of Labor, 2024. Expanding leave could help women maintain career momentum post-parenthood, reducing that 5% per child penalty. Negotiation training is another practical fix. Programs teaching women to advocate for raises, like those piloted by Google and Salesforce, have increased women's salary gains by 15% in participating firms. It's not about fixing women, it's about leveling the playing field in a culture where assertiveness often rewards men more readily. Not all gaps are injustice. Here's where it gets tricky. Not every part of the wage gap is foul play. Men dominate dangerous jobs, logging, fishing, roofing, where fatality rates are 10 times higher than in office settings, BLS 2023. These roles pay premiums, sometimes 50% above average, to compensate for risk. No one's forcing men into them. It's choice, shaped by social norms and sometimes necessity. Similarly, women's longer lifespans, 6 years on average per CDC data, mean they need to stretch retirement savings further, but that's biology, not bosses. Critics of the 82-cent stat argue it's overhyped, ignoring these realities and the $12 trillion in unpaid care work, like childcare and elder care, that women disproportionately shoulder globally per a 2020 Oxfam report. Slapping wage gap on these broader issues muddies the water. On the flip side, dismissing the gap as pure choice ignores real barriers. Women face bias in hiring and promotions. Studies show resumes with female names get 20% fewer callbacks than identical male ones, Yale 2021. And while men and women both value flexibility, women are more likely to be penalized for using it, losing out on promotions or raises. It's not just personal decisions. Systems and expectations shape the playing field. Looking ahead, a generational shift, the good news? The gap is shrinking, especially for younger workers. Gen Z, with its gender-blind approach to hiring and career paths, is already narrowing the divide. In STEM fields, where women now make up 28% of workers, up from 15% in 2000, the gap is just 90 cents on the dollar per BLS. Encouraging girls into tech and boys into caregiving, where men are only 12% of nurses, could balance things further. A 2023 Deloitte study predicts that if current trends hold, the U.S. wage gap could close entirely by 2045, especially as remote work and transparency laws take root. The wage gap isn't a myth, but it's not a simple villain story either. It's a mix of choices, trade-offs, and systemic quirks, some fixable, some not. Pay transparency, better leave policies, and negotiation training are already making a dent. Valuing unpaid care and rethinking risky or essential job pay could help too. But the 82-cent stat? It's a blunt tool, more headline than truth. The real story lies in the data, and it's far more interesting than the slogans. Please donate to support this channel. Thanks so much for your support. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, subscribe to stay in the loop, and don't forget to check out my affiliate links in the description below.